Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mr. Edward Kallon, UN Resident Coordinator and Humanitarian Coordinator, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you on this bright and sunny day in Amman, Jordan. It is really my great pleasure to join you this morning at the Strategic Prioritization Retreat of the UN Sustainable Development Partnership Framework 2018 to 2022 as part of the UNSDPF rollout process and built on the findings of the Common Country Assessment. Allow me to start by thanking Mr. Edward Kallon for the comprehensive brief on the process of developing the next UN program and partnership framework with the government of Jordan for the period 2018 to 2022. I would like to take this opportunity also to emphasize our sincere appreciation and gratitude for the UN's support to Jordan over the many years, and especially at these challenging times in light of the regional circumstances and the spillover Jordan has been experiencing, including, of course, the Syrian refugee influx. Jordan will continue to count on the role of the UN and its support, as well as its convening power within the international community to achieve its development plans aimed at sustaining Jordan's resilience, improving the lives of Jordanians, as well as addressing the needs of Syrian refugees and, not to forget, host communities. The UN support is highly appreciated, helping us in pioneering a resilience-based approach based on which we jointly develop response plans. Your support to the Jordan Compact has also been invaluable, especially as we took bold steps towards converting the refugee challenge into an economic opportunity, assisting Jordan and Jordanians, where we were trying to set a new model to dealing with the refugee crisis that requires sustained and targeted support over the coming period. The UNSDPF rollout process is fully supported and guided by the government of Jordan. I would like to echo Edward, as I'm also happy to see a wide participation at today's meeting. Our participatory approach will help us to jointly define the development priorities of the next phase and based on which the UNCDPF will be built. Yet taking into consideration the challenges of the current phase, including but limited to the stretched fiscal situation, our saturation levels we have reached, the low economic growth, increasing unemployment, limited resources, all of which were further compounded by the regional crisis and the Syrian refugee influx. This will also help us realize our 10-year socio-economic blueprint, the Jordan 2025, in addition to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Jordan in May has officially requested the UN to adopt what is known as the Delivering as One approach, where we would like to take the preparation of this 2018-2022 UNSDPF as an opportunity to start implementing this approach. We are also looking forward to the operationalization of this approach through adopting collective outcomes across the humanitarian and development sectors, where we'd like to see the integration of humanitarian planning under the strategic framework of the UNSDPF. Additionally, we believe that the Delivering as One approach will be an opportunity to further strengthen the effectiveness and the coherence of the UN assistance in Jordan and ensure a better donor coordination process. Our development priorities are clear, especially at these challenging times. As Mr. Kallon just mentioned, we have identified in August at the first steering committee meeting 7 key priority areas that will be the core of the new UNSDPF. I therefore would like to reiterate once again the importance of the following while developing the new program. 1. Alignment with our vision, the Jordan 2025, and related executive development plans, the Jordan Response Plan, and building on the objectives of the Jordan Compact, and supporting Jordan in implementing the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. 2, addressing structural weaknesses in the economy to promote growth and investment whilst maintaining resilience and economic stability. 3, building a more responsive and accountable public institutions. 4, tackling the country's gender gap through promoting increased political and economic participation of women. 5, improving Jordan's human resource development system in line with the recently launched National Strategy for Human Resource Development 2016 to 2025. 6, addressing the poverty and unemployment challenge with a focus on implementation rather than just policies and strategies. Finally, promoting a decentralized decision-making process by further expanding popular participation in the decision-making process. As you already know, Jordan next year will be holding 2 critical elections: decentralization elections to elect governorate councils for the first time in Jordan, and the municipal elections, and this, of course, hopefully builds on the successful 18 parliamentary elections that were recently held. We expect at this retreat that participants will broadly validate the findings of the Common Country Assessment and then start formulating outcome statements and outcome indicators for the UNCDPF according to the 14 areas from the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. These are, of course, people and dignity, prosperity, planet, peace, justice, and strong institutions. It is based upon these themes that the group discussions between the UN and the government of Jordan have been arranged over the past few months. As Edward just mentioned, I also urge you to think outside the box. Our aim is to have a program that reflects real priorities, yet at the same time flexible ones that is also adaptable to new needs and challenges. We look forward to having a new framework that helps us realize a more prosperous and resilient Jordan, which is the overriding twin goal of the Jordan 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, lastly, I regret to announce that Mr. Kalen will be leaving Jordan to take the new challenging position as the new Secretary General's representative in Nigeria and the resident and humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria. Eddie, allow me to congratulate you on your new appointment and would like to take this opportunity to thank you for your tremendous personal support and sincere efforts over the past few years. Your guidance, partnership, and leadership has improved the planning and aid coordination process, as well as in better identifying and better targeting of priorities at both the refugee and resilience fronts, as per the priorities I set out to achieve on behalf of the government of Jordan. We look forward to continuing our collaboration with your successor in the same spirit of cooperation and partnership. Allow me just to say a few more points. I think it's very critical that we all challenge ourselves. Our partnership as a government with all of you sitting in this room, all the 8 organizations that you represent, has made us set development precedents that have been unique globally. The entire response plan approach of a resilience-based model that bridges humanitarian and development. The idea of changing the way we finance development for a middle-income country, and hence the great precedents we set with the World Bank Group under the concessionary financing facilities, as well as the whole entire holistic approach that Jordan pushed for at the London and resulted in the Jordan Compact to try to create a transformation from a crisis management, humanitarian, year-in, year-out approach to more turning the challenge of the refugee crisis into an economic development opportunity that is primarily trying to help the Jordanian economy and Jordanians, whilst in parallel trying to support the Syrian refugee structure. All of these precedents that we worked so hard and set together did not happen if we actually did not push each other strongly and in a very hard way, because we owe it all to ourselves that when we push each other hard, we've managed to set development precedents that are the first I've seen globally at this front. And I think you saw in September at the two summits, the UN summit as well as President Obama's summit, Jordan was named second to none as a model country in terms of what it has been doing in this regard. And your work now to deliver as one, I challenge you that you don't let yourselves, your organizations, or the government of Jordan down. We have another unique opportunity to set another great success and precedent for Jordan and by the UN system, as we did with the World Bank, as we did with the donors over the past 2 years. So I really challenge everyone to take this passionately and very seriously, and we owe it that you don't let the government, the people of Jordan, and all the refugees we've been hosting recently and over the many, many decades. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to wish you fruitful discussion.
Your Excellency, Mr. Fakhoury, Minister of Planning and International Cooperation, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and warm welcome to all our partners present here today for the Strategic Prioritization Retreat of the United Nations Sustainable Development Partnership Framework. This is a very big crowd, if I could remember other processes I've seen in other countries. So thank you very much for making it possible this morning. As most of you are aware, the United Nations in Jordan is currently formulating the next program and partnership framework with the government of Jordan. This has been designated this time around as the United Nations Sustainable Development Partnership Framework, or the very difficult acronym, UNSDPF. The new partnership framework embodies the collective vision of the United Nations in Jordan for its support to national priorities through an inclusive and participatory process underpinned by the UN's comparative advantage and mandates. I am glad to note the wide participation today from our partners in the government of Jordan, the donor community, civil society, and the private sector. Your presence here today will ensure a stimulating and hopefully productive discussion on defining key priorities for our future activities in Jordan. The partnership framework will guide our work and the focus of our intervention in Jordan for a period of 5 years, as already stated, from 2018 to 2022. Therefore, it is critical and vital that perspectives and concerns from all sides of the spectrum are captured in our deliberations today. Ladies and gentlemen, before going further, I would like to acknowledge and commend the strong leadership and support provided by the government of Jordan at each step of this process. In particular, I look to my good friend, Minister Fakhoury, who from the outset provided us with a clear and articulate set of priorities that aim to tackle Jordan's complex and interconnected issues in a way that leads to a transformative development path. At the first steering committee meeting at the Planning Ministry on 1st of August this year, Minister Fakhoury outlined several key priorities that confront the gender gap: structural economic weakness, government accountability and responsiveness towards its citizens, human resource capacity, unemployment, poverty, and decentralization of decision-making to governments. The presence of key government ministries served to enrich the discussion, and our takeaway from the steering committee was a blueprint for the strategic focus in planning this partnership framework. We were privileged to have a minister that was very clear on areas big thought that the UN could add value in this country. And that has guided our deliberations today.
So that will be the main product of the day. So we look forward to reporting back to your office, Minister, in terms of the progress that's made as a result of the consultations today. But allow me, if you will, to thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to everyone. Welcome to this, the United